Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. So glad that you're here with us. I appreciate that look on your face right now. The one you have. Yep, I see you. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And we got a really fun show lined up for you, talking about one of the oldest cities in the United States, the East Coast King. I don't know if that's true. Boston, Massachusetts. And I promise I will keep it to a limited amount of times that I say something in a terrible Boston accent. I promise you. We're going to walk you through some wonderful things you can experience both in and outside of the city. Cultural places, because, you know, we're highfalutin sometimes. We go to museums. I've seen one. Talking about some wonderful places you can dine, the brewery scene out there. You know, they got a good one. Family things to do, and even some day trips you can take outside of the city, like I mentioned. But I want to start everything with one of my favorite subjects. I don't know if you've ever listened to the show, Amy.
Never. I've never once listened to the show.
You're with most people. You've never listened to this show. But one of my favorite things to talk about is history.
Is it?
It is. And so I always skew our shows toward history. And I know it's one of the major complaints that I get from one of our listeners, which is you.
Not me.
The not you that listens, including our parents. But it's, you know, you kick things off with probably the biggest thing that people probably know Boston for from the outside, minus the sports teams, is probably the Freedom Trail.
Right.
The Freedom Trail, of course, goes all the way back to the founding of the United States and all that stuff.
Well, I have to say, my history knowledge isn't great, and most of what I know about Boston, I know from the movie National Treasure. Because I wasn't paying attention in school when they taught us about the American Revolution. Is this the American Revolution?
Yeah.
What? Okay. See, history, not my topic.
Oh, wow. This is a ringing endorsement for Boston. You should definitely go check it out.
I'm not saying anything negative about Boston. I'm saying I didn't have a lot of knowledge on the city.
You better not be saying anything negative about Nicolas Cage. Because as we learned in the second movie, he is the national treasure. The Freedom Trail. There we go. The Freedom Trail, for those who may not know, right? It's a 2.5 mile path through different areas of Boston where you're going to pass like 17 historical sites that all have to do with the American Revolution and the things that took place, you know, during that time period in the founding of the United States. So it's pretty significant. And we got to cover a point. We didn't go to every single thing whenever we visited Boston. But we did hit a lot of the highlights. And, you know, what were your thoughts initially, just looking back on our time walking along the Freedom Trail?
It was really interesting to see. For somebody that isn't a big history buff, it was still kind of fascinating because our country's history doesn't go back that far. But even where we live and where we previously lived, there wasn't a lot of centuries old history there. And in Boston, and especially where this Freedom Trail is, it is all very old buildings and everything has some type of historical significance. So it was really neat to see that.
Yeah. It is incredibly fun to, and it's really interesting, like you said, even if you aren't necessarily into the history thing, you do know the names. Okay.
Right.
It's Paul Revere and Ben Franklin and, you know, people like that, but also there are sites that you, at least they glanced over in history class whenever most of us weren't paying attention, like Bunker Hill, the USS Constitution, Old Ironsides, and places like that. And you get a real sense of it. I think it's incredibly telling if you are from the United States to go back and see where the actual founding of the country, where those beginnings, where these people that you think are so detached from us are so far removed from history, where they actually lived, the streets that they walked, the buildings that they went into, including places like the Old North Church, you know, for the famous like hang one lantern, you know, for land, 2 for sea, that kind of thing, where these places actually existed and that they're still there.
Right.
Like Paul Revere's house, you can go into it, check it out, send an email from there or something like that.
Which we did go to his house. We didn't go inside because the line to get in there was so long.
Yeah.
I mean, and this was like a random Thursday that we were there in the fall, but it was really neat to like see the house. And the other part, because now here in the US, streets are just made really wide, but that part of the city, all the streets were narrow, and then there was this house right next to basically these buildings that were stores on the ground level and apartments above that. But it was just kind of an interesting mix of architecture, but it was really neat to see.
Yeah, it is a weird mix of old and new, because you have Paul Revere's house that's was built around 1680, which seems like forever long ago. And then you'll walk by somewhere like I think the old corner bookstore, and there's a Chipotle on the ground floor. And you're like, history with side of guac.
Right.
But you could do that. And it's just really interesting because we'll mention it a little bit later in the show, but we also spent time in areas like Lexington and Concord, which also have these ties to the American Revolution. So if you are a history person or if you just kind of like those places, then this is, I think, the place to actually start. I mean, we've done shows in the past about earlier areas like Williamsburg and Jamestown and those places. So if you want a history type of adventure and you skew in that direction, that East Coast trail from like Virginia to Boston and New York and on up through there, I think it's a wonderful time that you can book. And it seems really far away, all these places, but they're actually within close driving distance of each spot.
Right. Well, I don't know my history very well, but I do know my geography, and you would hit New York before Boston. So just FYI.
They didn't cover that in National Treasure.
But it was on the Freedom Trail where you took the picture of the famous statue of Paul Revere, but you managed to somehow cut his head off.
It wasn't that I cut his head off. I thought I had an award-winning photo. In my mind, I was like, that is the photo.
It was a gorgeous photo.
And it is a gorgeous photo. But the angle that I took that photo makes it look like Paul Revere has a horse head, because I took it in such a way that his horse, which is part of the statue, fits perfectly on his head from that angle, because I got the old church tower as well, and the leaves are falling and it looks beautiful. And I completely botched that photo, man.
And Paul Revere is a horse.
I was so angry.
You were. We almost went back so you could try to recreate it, but I think the memory of the botched picture is better than having the actual picture.
If I'm being honest, it probably is, because it looks like somewhere in our timeline, like horses took over the world, which I like that story a lot better than the actual one. But it is something that we got to go and check out. There were things like the USS Constitution that we actually did. We use one of the big buses to travel around.
We used it was City View Trolley Tours, and it's a hop on, hop off bus. But I mean, it takes you all around downtown Boston, all the historical sites, and you can get on and off as many times as you want once you pay for your ticket. I will say there are several of these tour buses, and you have to make sure you're getting on the right one. And they even told us when we bought our tickets, make sure you look for the specific logo, because a lot of the buses all look the same. And there would be 4 or 5 buses all lined up at each spot. Yep. So definitely go early. And it was an open air trolley, and it was raining that day, so they had the plastic down on the side. So it kind of, again, it always rains on our trips.
Why does it always rain on my trips? But yes, I mean, checking those out and book your tickets as well in advance as you possibly can, because it does get busy during peak travel season. So keep it right here. We're talking all fun things in Boston. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with Amy.
Hi.
Come to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Remember, for all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out. Unscaled Travel Show. Unscaledtravelshow.com.
Did you forget what the name of our show is?
Oh, yeah, I do. From time to time, I forget what we're doing here. Because I just like talking about travel. And today we are talking about Boston, Massachusetts, giving you some ideas. If you've been before or if you haven't been yet, it's a really wonderful city to go visit. Lots of things to do. We were chatting about the Freedom Trail, which is probably one of the more well-known things in Boston. But now let's take a look. If you are culturally inclined, they do house a number of incredible museums and wonderful places to go and, get your culture on.
Which we usually do. I would not say that we're cultured people.
What?
I mean, listen to us. But we
right.
do enjoy going to museums when we travel, whether it's art museums or history type to learn about the origins of the place that we're in. We always end up at a museum every single trip we go on.
It's one of my favorite things to do, honestly. Art museums. I love to go and be pretentious and stand there and act like I'm getting some deep intellectual thought from a painting. Really, I just like the bright colors and stuff.
And you always get, especially when we go to modern art museums, and I'm like, it's a yellow square on a white canvas. This isn't art. And you're like, what, you think you could paint that? Yes, I do. Yes, I think I could paint a yellow square on a white box.
You get so defensive about your disdain for modern art.
I'm not a big fan of modern art. I'm just not.
Okay, well, so we won't recommend any modern art museums. Let me just scratch these off the list.
Although you've been
here.
to some modern art museums that you really enjoyed.
Yeah. And I've actually, in all seriousness, I do love fine arts museums and art museums of different kinds, and they house a couple of the better ones in the United States, if not the world. One of them being the Museum of Fine Arts, or as much local people call it, the MFA, in Boston. So it is one of the largest art museums in the United States. It has, of course, the regular things like impressionable paintings, contemporary art, artifacts of various kinds. It usually ranks as one of the better and most liked art museums in the United States year in and year out.
Really?
Yeah.
So people feel like they really get their money's worth when they go to this museum?
Yes, they do. And speaking of, tickets usually are about $27 for adults. I think kids are $10. Young kids are free. So it really makes it kind of an affordable day to go and experience art if your family's into that, or what adventures you might be on. The only caveat is on Tuesdays the art museum is closed every single Tuesday for doing their thing. But most days you need to get there early, plan your visit well, because it is popular and it does get pretty full most days, even during the week.
Really?
Yeah.
We do try to hit those types of museums earlier in the morning, just because we do want to be able to wander around at our leisure. And we've been to some big museums in the middle of the day on a weekend, and you can't get close enough to really appreciate the art when there's 5 people standing in front of you looking at it too.
Right now they do have traveling exhibits and things like that, exhibits that get changed out. Right now I think it's Georgia O'Keeffe and Henry Moore. But it's one of those places that's always kind of changing. The other one is the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum.
Which I've heard of this one.
A lot of people have heard of this museum, even if you've never been, because it's famous, if not infamous, for something else.
Right. There is actually a documentary about it, because this is the largest art history heist or art piece heist ever from a museum. I think so. I was reading about it. It's 13 pieces were stolen from the museum in 1990, and that's the most that's ever been stolen from one museum at one time. It's kind of fascinating.
That is fascinating. I didn't know much about that.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the documentary, you should watch it, because they talk about how this should not have been able to happen. And they never actually caught who did it. They think they had an inside person. But it's actually, when you see pictures and the video of the museum, it's actually a beautiful building and a beautiful museum.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know who Isabella Stewart Gardner was, she was obviously an art collector and a philanthropist who I think curated the vast majority of this museum herself. She passed away in the early 1920s, I believe. But really, I mean, some people call her eccentric, but she had a love of art and art collection and wanted to share that with the public. And it's a fascinating place to go check out. And yes, if you if you're fascinated by true crime, this, I mean, gets no truer than this, right? It is an infamous art heist. And is it true that they still have empty frames?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
That still are there. That
they
wow,
left
that is
the
crazy.
empty frames there so people can see. Because I think that, I mean, this is part of the museum's history now. So they're leaning into it.
Okay. I've heard that you get free entry if your name is Isabella on your birthday. Like you can, but I don't know. My name is not Isabella, although I do have a daughter named Isabella. So maybe we'll try
Let's
it
go
out.
Test it out.
We may end up having to pay double. Who knows? They also have a really fantastic public library.
Yeah, so I love books, and I love to go to bookstores and old libraries, and I did not know, but the Boston Public Library is the first large, like actual real building, municipal library in the United States. It was the first public library to lend books, to have multiple branches, to have a children's room. So basically, it's like the pioneer of public libraries for the United States.
Really?
It's Boston, right?
Yeah. But so why'd you say it like that?
I don't know. I mean, I know Boston's an old city, but I just don't think of it as having like the first of something. But I should, because once we went there and you started pointing out a lot of history facts, it's the first of a lot of things.
Yeah. Which I mean, you kind of know that, but again, it's like that outside looking in kind of it's something you don't really think about until you're up close with it. And then it fits right in, like the public library with the Freedom Trail and different things like that, where you go, wow, okay. I mean, we may not have an old history, but it is still our history that it all kind of, you think of these people sometimes like operating in different timelines, almost like different, like he existed here and there, but they're all together kind of walking these same paths and going in these same places. And it all leads to where we are now as a nation, which to me, I know it's travel and I'm going down.
You're nerding out right now.
I'm nerding out, but it is so interesting. There's other wonderful places like the Boston Symphony. You hear a lot about the symphony orchestra, where at Symphony Hall, you can hear all kinds of amazing performances. I would love to do that one day soon. So we'll see. We'll see, right? We'll continue on our journey looking at Boston, checking everything out. It's a wonderful place. I'm so excited about this show. This is the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are coming to you from the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada, talking about Boston and its wonderful and unique history, things to do there for family, or if you like history or culture, or if you're a sports fanatic, they have great sports teams as well. And we'll take a look at some of their really unique and diverse neighborhoods, which are famous. We went to Boston and we didn't have much time there, unfortunately, like in Boston proper. We spent a lot of time around Boston. It was during our travels when we went up to Salem and we visited Lexington Concord and surrounding areas. And we even went out to Cape Cod, which we're going to get into all of those wonderful places that you can visit. So it's definitely, but it's also one of these cities that you can go back a number of times and always find something different to do, or some aspect or some angle you didn't see the first time.
Right. I mean, we spent just a couple of days there, and we maybe touched a fraction of the things that we wanted to. Even the hop on, hop off bus, we didn't do the full route. I mean, we could have spent all day long just riding the bus going to see different things. But if you also get off at the different stops and experience them, this is a multi-day excursion, really. So there's a lot to do, a lot to see. There were places we got off the bus and we just walked around the outside, took a couple pictures, and then got on the next bus 30 minutes later because we knew we wanted to see other things. Yeah. And that's just like the history aspect of it. That doesn't get into the culture or, all these other things that Boston's famous for, like their baseball team, or I've heard there's a big university up there, some other things like that. Right. So there's so much to do depending on what your interests are. You could easily spend a week there.
Yeah, you could. And you brought up, I think, a really good side point is that we got on these hop on, hop off buses. But if you are in the city, you plan on spending a few days there or whatever, they have a really reliable public transportation system. Most people who live in and around the actual Boston proper area, take the bus a lot.
Well, right, because we experienced how not great their traffic can be.
The traffic getting into Boston and out of Boston is unique.
It was okay once you were like in it, but coming in and out from, I guess, the suburbs, if that's what they call it there, we were sitting still on the highway for a while.
Yeah. It was great. We got to see parts of Boston's highway system for a while. And it was very unique and everything. And we actually have a friend who lives out there. We met them for dinner. And it was fun. But, kind of veering back into its neighborhoods, probably one of the most, its most well-known neighborhood is the Beacon Hill neighborhood, which it's unique and well known because it is a wonderful place to kind of go and visit and see, especially if you Google this area, you've seen pictures of it because it does get a lot of play. But that's the Acorn Street area.
Right. The street is beautiful, and we don't have houses like this here, but I guess are these called brownstones? I don't know. I mean, they don't really have like the stoop, but it's almost like a little alleyway, and these beautiful doors and windows and shutters all line the street, this cobblestone street. It's just gorgeous. And when you look at the pictures, you'll totally understand what we're talking about, but it does take you kind of back in time when people didn't have cars and they walked places, or maybe they had a horse. I don't know. But it's these very narrow streets, and they have the beautiful street lamps. It really felt like we had stepped back in time. Yeah,
and these are like the gaslit street lamps. So you kind of have the original, like a glow from original gas lamps from back in the day, how it might have been, and all kinds of there's hidden gardens all throughout the neighborhood where you can go on tours of some of these hidden gardens. So it's kind of one of these, let's go spend a little afternoon in this area, and you really won't be disappointed. There's even around Lewisburg Square, they have, it's one of these areas everything is historic. Not that I'm complaining about that. You can throw a rock and hit something historic there. But if you like to do literary journeys, and we've often talked about different areas you can go visit when you are on a literary pilgrimage with American authors and stuff, but you can go to the former residence of Louisa May Alcott, who wrote Little Women. And she passed away in the Boston area in the 1880s. But her former residence is there and different things like that. So, it is a wonderful neighborhood to go check out. Right. And really just kind of lose yourself down some of these streets. Also being respectful because people do live in these homes. Well, and
that's what I was just about to say. I wonder if the people that live in these houses ever get tired of walking out their door and having tourists taking pictures.
Having me on their stoop. Hi.
Because if you Google Acorn Street, you're going to find pictures of people proposing to their love right there in front of somebody's front door. And it's just like that's weird. You don't live here.
Someone's like, hey, I'm just trying to take out the trash, bro. Like, I appreciate that and congratulations, but please leave. Which is a lot of neighborhoods. So Beacon Hill, another one like Back Bay. And then there's like the North End. And we were kind of mentioning the North End because that encompasses a lot of the Freedom Trail. So again, Paul Revere House, the Old North Church, places like that. There's also the Seaport District. Mm-hmm. This is where you're going to see like the Boston Tea Party stuff and the museum of that nature. And, you know, the marina and different places like that, which is fun for different reasons.
Isn't that also by where the Cheers bar is?
I believe so.
I think it is.
And you can go see the Cheers bar. Our tour guide
pointed out the Cheers bar to us.
And if you're younger and you've seen the video of the Boston cop who's okay now, but just careening down a kid's play slide and slamming onto the ground, that's also around that same area.
Right.
And the time we went, it was taped off like a crime scene.
Because it had just happened.
It just happened. And if you haven't seen the video, go find it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious because the officer wasn't hurt. I think his pride was hurt more than anything. And also like Fenway Park area, Cambridge, Harvard Square, tons of those around there. So there's beautiful neighborhoods to go check out. Each of them has something unique. So keep it right here. It's the Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with Amy.
Hi.
We're talking about Boston, Massachusetts, all the fun things you can do there. And now I think let's chat a little bit about our favorite subject, eating and drinking. Oh, it's so good just all the time. Of course, with all of this wonderful history we're talking about in Boston, you're going to work up an appetite, right? You're going to feel peckish.
Peckish?
Yeah. And need something. This is also where you can find, if you want to keep in that historical mindset, which I know you do because you're a person after my own heart, there you can find a number of really old establishments to go visit, which is just cool that they've been, nearly almost continuously operating since a very long time ago.
Right. Hundreds of years.
The first one is Quincy Market near downtown, right? Quincy Market, it has food stalls and restaurants and things like that. And it's been built out over the years, but the original Quincy Market actually opened in 1826. Really? So it's right at 200 years old. And it's one of these places that definitely, if you're local, you go there and check out or whatever. But I think even if you're a visitor, you can go and appreciate. You might not pick up like a thing of food to cook that evening, but
right.
You will maybe nibble on some things or sit at one of the local restaurants. Right there.
Love markets. I mean, anytime we go to a city that has a market, we always walk through it. It's interesting because you'll see what's popular in their city, because every market's going to be a little bit catered to that particular culture. Yeah. And, Boston, obviously right on the water, a lot of seafood. So, and, I'm not a seafood eater, but I enjoy seeing the giant fishes.
I enjoy seeing the dead fish.
But just a lot of really cool stuff in there. So, I mean, even if you're not going to be pick something up, just walk around and check it out. It's really neat.
If you haven't been to Quincy Market, a fair comparison might be like the Ferry Building in San Francisco or something like that. Because Quincy has, I think, over like 50 eateries and vendors and kiosks. And so you have a little bit of everything, but it is a good look into like the local scene in that area. Like what are the go-tos? What are the popular hotspots right there? In fact, we were right next door. We didn't go to Quincy Market, but we were at the Sam Adams downtown tap room. Sam Adams, of course.
Sometimes you need a drink in the middle of the day.
Sometimes. Jeez. Oh my God. I could use one right now. But yeah, we went to the downtown tap room and had a little bit to eat and a couple of drinks. And it was just, man, I love Sam Adams beer so much.
It was fun. It was a little weird when we walked in, though, because I don't think they had like a hostess stand. You were just kind of walk in and
someone greet you and
sit,
throw something at you.
And then somebody ended up coming over and handing us a menu, but they didn't tell us like we needed to go place our order at the bar. Like they don't actually serve you. You go to the bar and do it all yourself. So it took us a minute to figure it out, but it was a really cool experience. And like it has the viewing area into the actual brewery side, so you can see them making beer in there.
I always love it. That's got to be the best job in the world, right beside radio host. If you're in the North End, Boston has an incredible Little Italy section that is, of course, pasta, cannolis, all those wonderful Italian dishes you can find. It's hard to recommend one place in the North End for that specific day, so I'll let you Google that. But also, like, there are cool things. Like, Boston is home to two of the oldest continuously operated things in the world. One being a restaurant, one being a tavern, right? The oldest restaurant continuously operating, I have to stress that, is the Union Oyster House.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Union Oyster House has been in service since, I want to say, 1830s. It might be 1826. 1826 is when the Union Oyster House, so it's also approaching its 200th birthday, and it's still remains incredibly popular, and is one of the, I think, probably one of the hotspots in the city that people like to go check out.
So I don't like oysters.
I don't think they care.
Do you like oysters?
I'm learning to appreciate oysters. I can't say that I like oysters, like, ooh, I got to have some oysters. But whenever we go to seafood heavy locations, that, places that are renowned for seafood, I am starting to get more into oysters and like prawns and mussels and things like that. That I feel like I should have had that education growing up on the Gulf Coast. But I didn't, because I also had a family that didn't really like seafood.
I don't remember a lot of oysters where we grew up, but it seems like we travel a lot, and it's huge everywhere. I didn't even know there were multiple ways to make oysters. And one of your travels, you were trying something called, I think, Oysters Rockefeller, and I was like, what is that? Never heard of it. And that was the first time you actually tried them and you liked them. So I'm proud of you for branching out. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's
the texture.
Yeah, very much.
I get it. The oldest continuously operating tavern in the U.S., except for that brief period of time for Prohibition, is the Bell in Hand Tavern. The Bell in Hand Tavern opened in 1795 by one Jimmy Wilson. Do you know what Jimmy Wilson's job was? This is just fascinating to me.
Did he ring a bell?
Yes, he did. Jimmy Wilson was the town crier. And if you don't know what a crier was, that's the guy who would ring a loud bell and then make the proclamations and announcements for the city in that area. Hear ye kind of thing. And that's what he was. He was the town crier, and he opened the Bell in Hand, which is what he carried around to get people's attention. I
guess I never realized a town crier was an actual thing.
Bro, I'm telling you.
I'm learning so much today.
We should bring those back. Actually, I think that's called Twitter or X now, town criers. So you can go get it like a piece of history right there if you want to check out those areas, which is amazing to me. I love that kind of stuff. And again, the Sam Adams Brewery is right in town. One of the best brew houses and lines of beer you can find. And even places like Harpoon Brewery. And
it's a hard word to say, isn't it?
It is, brewery. I just stuttered. And also, like, if you don't, or if you just want like a general taste of like everything and things that are off menu and more localized, I always recommend food tours. Super interesting. You can find some very unique things and visit restaurants and places that you normally probably wouldn't, because, whatever reason, or you just don't have time or whatever, you want to focus in. Definitely try a food tour. I've been on a number, and I've never been disappointed because, hey, it's always food. It's always alcohol. Yeah, it's like a game. You always win. It's an Unscaled Travel Show. Speaking of winning, we'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Sin City, baby. We're coming to you from the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, but we're all the way on the East Coast talking about Boston. Oh, see, look, that's a...
So you did it. You did it. I've been waiting for it to slip out.
That's the first time I did it. I thought I was going to do it a lot more. Show's not over yet, though, folks.
I'll be honest. Obviously I know people have accents. We have accents.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought that the Boston accent is always exaggerated in TV and on movies until we were sitting on that bus and the driver started talking and I couldn't understand most of what he said. And then I realized, no, this is for real. Like, I thought he was joking. I thought he was doing it because he's like a tour guide and he's like playing into it. But no, he was seriously... All his words had like this extra sound. I don't even know. I can't even do it, but It's hilarious. I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of you.
No.
I have you or people from Boston.
Okay.
I found it amusing. I'm sorry.
It is one of those things. Like, I think people have an exaggerated sense of what, where we grew up, a Texas accent and things of that nature. But Boston, I think, is one of my favorite accents. And I can't help myself but to when I go there, I start picking up words because that's what I do. Amy can tell you I do a lot of stupid voices all the time. And I start picking it up and for weeks after that, I was saying, all kinds of things.
Park the car.
Yeah, exaggerated Boston accent. And even when I was stopping through and I stopped in the Boston airport, these ladies behind me had to be at least in their 60s, probably older than that. And they seemed to be very lovely people, but their accents were so strong that I just found myself, I took my earbuds out and I just started listening to them talk. And I was just like, I love this accent so much. But so I don't know what we're even talking about this, but
sorry if you're from Boston. We are not making fun of you. We like it. It's just, it was hard to understand.
They say when you're in a hole, you find yourself in a hole. Stop digging. Okay. We have been talking about all kinds of fun things to do in Boston, whether you have an accent or you don't, including lots of restaurants and breweries, diverse neighborhoods you can go check out, cultural hotspots. Let's talk a little bit about some family fun, some adventures and interactive experience that you can have, including one that to us is a little disappointing. And I don't like to focus on negative things. So I'm not trying to be super negative about this, but I think it would be doing listeners a disservice if you just sugarcoated everything all the time.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So the one thing I was disappointed with in our time in Boston was the aquarium.
Yeah, me too.
The aquarium, I think because we've been to so many great aquariums, first off, I think it plays into it. We have been to some really fantastic aquariums in our travels, and that's a thing that we really like to do because our son is currently studying to be a marine biologist. It has been a focal point for a number of years in our family. So we've been to a lot of them.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with the aquarium in Boston. It's on the smaller side, which we've been to other smaller aquariums, but it just kind of felt lacking, I guess. They have this main tank in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there was a penguin colony around the bottom of it. There was one little area outside that had more penguins and I think some sea lions. And then there were a few tanks along the wall. And you kind of walk in a circle up the outer tank. And there's some other small little aquariums on the sides. But really, that was kind of it. And to be 100% honest, if it wasn't as expensive as it was, I probably wouldn't have been as disappointed. But I did feel that we did not get what we paid for. Yeah.
It was just a little underwhelming. And that is a personal thing But if someone were to ask me, I would tell them, like, I was a little underwhelmed by the Boston Aquarium, or maybe we didn't see it at the right time or something like that. I am not really sure, but that's that. So again, not to focus too much on that, but it is something that you can go do. But it's just one of those things, right? So this thing that may help you, and something that we always preach on, are the Go City passes and things that you can get, right? In Boston itself, every city is different, but in Boston, they include 47 different attractions that you can choose from to go and check out. Some of them we've mentioned, it's admission into like things like the Paul Revere House, or even 2-day tickets for the hop on, hop off trolleys, cruises, different observation decks. One of my favorite ones that I think we still need to go back and do. It also includes a Fenway Park tour.
Oh, I would love to do that.
I would love to do a tour of Fenway, going back and having more time. But also, like, if even things for outside of the area, like the Salem Witch Museum, if you drive up to Salem, and the different natural museums and natural history museums and different things like that. So if you want to save a little money, you have a family to look after while you're on your visit to Boston, definitely consider a Go City tour pass, because it'll save you money in the end.
Right. And they do have a lot of museums. I personally like history museums. I'm sorry, not history museums. You like history museums. I like the science-y museums, the one where it like teaches you about different, different things. And they do have a great museum of science there that has a planetarium and a butterfly garden. Those are the kind of things that I really enjoy doing. Yeah. They also have a zoo. We didn't make it to the zoo, but that's usually something we hit on our trips. I think we were just too pressed for time to stop over there.
But yeah, I mean, you tend to lean more towards, you and our son, you guys tend to lean more toward animals and the sciencey part of it. I lean toward history. What do you think, Isabella?
She's probably on the animal side, but she really enjoys like dance. So anything dance centric, music centric, she really enjoys. Yeah,
she's very artsy. So she kind of likes art museums. But we always have a good time at a lot of these places. And of course, if you have younger kids, the Boston Children's Museum should be high on your list, right? They have the hands-on experiences and exhibits and different things of that nature that, kids always really, really love. I don't know about you when you were little, but I loved, a couple of years ago.
Yesterday.
They told me I couldn't come anymore without children. And it's really disappointing to me. But the children's museums, I don't know where I was going with that. But children's museums.
I think maybe we both need to stop talking.
And the Franklin Park Zoo should be high on your list. They got some lions. They got some gorillas, some giraffes, all kinds of things. And a children's petting zoo, of course. That's always, again, like the hands-on thing. But the Boston Common and Public Garden, also swan boats.
We love swan boats.
Oh, man. We had so much fun on the swan boats. Was that Tokyo?
Yes.
Oh, that was so much fun. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. But just going and checking out, I mean, going around, our friend Jane lives in Boston, and she'd often entertains her like nieces and nephews.
Right.
And she talks about just how much fun they have in the city. It is a surprisingly, for a city its size, which it's a little bit bigger than Las Vegas is, and then with the surrounding areas and everything. But with a city its size and for its reputation, it actually has a lot of family-friendly things to go do, which is surprising. But not surprising once you're there and you're like, oh, this is like, it's really walkable. The transportation's easy to get around with which makes it, when you have smaller kids, an easier time to kind of go out and see everything.
Yeah. And I think it depends on the time of year too. I mean, when we went, it was starting to get cool. So the weather was nice, but it was drizzling that day. So we didn't want to walk a lot because it just made it feel colder. But if it hadn't been drizzling, I think we would have walked a lot more. We probably would have done the whole Freedom Trail and gone and seen other things. We were just kind of looking for ways to get out of the damp and cold. But, it does snow there. So if you're going in the winter, just keep that in mind that you have to deal with snow during your travels.
Yeah, it's best to do the thing that you've been preaching to me for years. Dress in layers. I am notoriously
Did I finally convert you?
Yeah, you finally got me there. So, dress in layers when you visit Boston. Bring it on back here. It's Unscaled Travel Show. We're talking Boston.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hi.
We are in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Thank you so much, Trent and Lisa Keenan, for always supporting the show, the program. And I know for a fact that Boston, Philadelphia, these kind of areas are one of Trent Keenan's favorite places because he's always posting pictures of these areas whenever he goes and leaf peeps or runs a marathon or all the amazing things that him and Lisa do. So thank you guys so much. But chatting about Boston, Massachusetts, and all the wonderful things you can do there. And we want to finish up with, hey, there are wonderful things to do in that city. We love Boston, but there are some memorable things to do for day trips that are right outside of Boston that some of these we got to experience firsthand. And I highly recommend, you know, if you don't have a car, rent a car. Some of these places that we're going to mention, you can reach by train. It'll take a little while, but you can get there using public transportation. Other ones, I recommend hitchhiking.
No, you don't.
Or
No,
something.
you don't.
Okay, don't do that. Well, not anymore anyway. Thanks a lot. People ruin that for other people. But there's wonderful things, and we'll start right outside the city. Some of the places that we already mentioned. Number one, Lexington and Concord. We were talking about the American Revolution, it kind of goes back to that, right? So all of that. Oh, you gave me that look. I'm not going to get into the ton of the history.
No, this was actually when we decided we were going to Boston. And I'm not up on my American Revolution history, but this was one of the first places you said you wanted to go. We have to go over here. And we ended up staying a night over in Concord. Yeah. It looks like Concord, but that is not how you say it.
Do not say Concord.
Yeah, they will correct you.
They will correct you on the streets.
Again, with my accent, I'm from a different place. I have a different accent. I was saying it incorrectly, and I got stopped a couple of times and told to say it properly.
Say it right, or you got to leave.
But it was really neat because I didn't know this, but there is a field and a bridge that we walked over to, and it is the first shot of the American Revolution. Yeah, the first shots of the American Revolution happened literally down the street from Concord's Colonial Inn. The Colonial Inn, which is fun to stay at. We stayed a night there, like you mentioned. It was built in like 1716. So it is, in fact, older than the United States. And people like Nathaniel Hawthorne I think he lived there for 2 years while he was doing law school or something. He was doing something, I don't know, setting up his Twitter. He was doing something, but right down the street, literally within walking distance, where you can visit the place and the bridge and everywhere, the field where what they say the first shots of the American Revolution actually, kicked off. So it's like when you want to experience the actual birthplace of a nation, you can. Which is, to me, and people that think along the history lines or cultural lines, it is really fantastic and incredible to go and see and witness and everything. It was neat. I mean, cool. I didn't know this history. You were telling it to me while we were there, but it was really cool to stand in this place where our country began its formation. Absolutely. So started the American Revolution right there. For people who like dark tourism and haunted tourism, Salem. Right. Salem, Massachusetts, which one of these places you can reach by via the bus routes and different public transportation options. But Salem in itself is just fun year round. But if you get to go there during October, during its wonderful weekends and like haunted, spooky weekends, it's an incredible time, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, to go check out things like the Salem Witch Museum, right, or the famous Witch House, or even the graveyards are fun to walk around and being respectful. Yes, again, I mean, this is another place where you can just walk up and down the beautiful streets and see these gorgeous old homes. We were there in October, so everything was decorated for Halloween. the city does this thing called Haunted Happenings. It's a festival on the weekend. It's really fun. All kinds of Halloween activities and vendors and just almost a carnival atmosphere out there. But it was really cool to walk around and see it. And then we did go into the Salem Witch Museum and learned a little bit more of the true story of what happened during that time.
Which is it is fantastically
I
weird.
Thought I knew, and I did not. So
it is wild, man, how off base that my mind was around these witch trials. So I don't want to ruin it for people, but it's something that you will check out. But like, full disclosure, if you have smaller kids, some crazy things went down. So just be aware of that. But again, even things like we mentioned earlier, the literary journeys, if you happen to be on one. We mentioned Nathaniel Hawthorne staying for a couple of years at the Colonial Inn. His childhood home is actually in Salem. He was born in Salem, and we actually walked through his childhood home, which was fantastic, to kind of experience.
Yeah, because I guess he purchased the property and he built a larger home next to the home he actually grew up in, because there's multiple homes on the property, but the one he lived in as a child, it's tiny, and those little stairs to go up and down. Like, I'm a tiny person, and I felt a little crouched over going up and down the stairs. It was really
small
neat.
Were these people?
I know. And then right across the street from it is the oldest candy shop in the country.
Oh yeah.
Ye Old Candy Shop.
Is that what it's called?
I think that's what it's called.
Ye
Yeah.
Old Candy
And there was
Shop.
a line down the street to get in there too.
Was it Shop Pepe?
Yes.
With the two P's and an E in it?
Yeah.
Ye Old
and
Shop
it was
Pepe.
jam-packed full of old types of candies.
And it smelled so wonderful.
Fudge. They were making fudge while we were in there.
Oh man.
It smelled
Okay,
so
let's
good.
talk about candy now. Forget this. But if you want something more coastal, I would recommend, if you don't have a car, rent a car, drive through Cape Cod, go see some lighthouses and some sandy shores, relax, some water activities in warmer months, including things like whale watching. They have tons of bike trails, all kinds of things right there in Cape Cod. And you wonder why people on the East Coast are like, hey, I would never move out west. Why would you?
Right.
You got all that beautiful scenery and everything else. Man, it is so gorgeous in that area.
I was like single-minded. I wanted to see some lighthouses, and you indulged me, and we drove down the coast. And some of the lighthouses are not super easy to get to. Some of them are privately owned. And
I forget the one that we drove up to, but it was like a private residence, and the guy was like outside washing his car or something. And we were like,
didn't
Hi.
know. We had no idea. Like, somebody actually lived in this lighthouse, because a different one, it was an independent lighthouse in the building next to it that was currently being turned into a museum. So I assumed all lighthouses were public property. That is not the case.
Yeah.
So we did pull up in one man's front yard and take a picture of his house and then leave.
Which, sorry to Mr.
But
Smith.
even just the drive, I mean, you mentioned leaf peeping earlier, but really gorgeous, gorgeous colors. The leaves were falling, and some of these roads, it looked like something out of a movie. You can't even really describe it. It was just so beautiful. I have so many photos of just trees and lighthouses and beautiful little beaches. And we only saw, I think, 6 lighthouses, only 6. And that was just in one little area. And then we're like, okay, well, we need to head on to our next adventure.
Yeah. But before we left, I mean, number one, we need to get to that level here with the show and syndication. Hint, hint, people out there, that we can buy our own lighthouse. Yes. Number one. Number 2, we stopped at a great little restaurant if you want some lobster rolls and things like that. We kind of drove a little bit out of the way, but it is in that Cape Cod area. And what was that one again?
I looked up the best seafood in Cape Cod, and the same place kept coming up. And I told you, I'm like, it's a little bit of a drive, but we're going. And it is called The Lobster Trap.
The Lobster Trap. It was amazing.
It was so good. I don't eat seafood, and I ate seafood at this place, and it was good.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed it.
The Lobster Trap was just phenomenal. And then we took another little detour, because if you want more history, and again, see where we're leaning here. If you want more history, Plymouth. Plymouth is just a short little drive away from that Cape Cod area. And of course, Plymouth Rock and the Mayflower and all of that stuff. And number one, like Plymouth itself, just the little towns in that area.
Adorable.
It's a cute little town.
I was very excited to go see
Yeah.
the Rock in the replication ship, but I just thought the town was cute all on its own. I would have gone and just walked around the town even if it didn't have this other stuff. But I have a question for you. What did you think of the Plymouth Rock?
You're trying to get me hurt by people in Boston, huh?
No, I'm serious.
Oh,
if you
my
don't know,
gosh.
I had an expectation of one thing and it's not. what
I
thought it
didn't
was
know
gonna be.
what to expect, and I will tell you this right now. Plymouth Rock is, well, you know what? I'm going to let people decide for themselves once they see it, because it is something. Words can't even put it. It's something. I'll tell you that much. What'd you think, real quick?
I'm same.
Okay. Yep. So it's Unscaled Travel Show. We hope we did right by Boston. I'm not even sure now. We will see you guys next time.